There's so much talk about executive presence and business presence and leadership presence, but what is that really? Well, it's a combination of many things. In this session, we'll go over all the components that flow into your presence in business and in leadership, and especially one component that hardly anyone talks about. One thing that can make all the difference. If you want to increase your influence and impact as a leader in your business or career, I invite you to join me for this session, and I'll be delighted to have you with us.
Hello and welcome. Hi, everybody. It's great to have you here for our latest webinar here on Big View. Tell me where you're coming in from. All right, let's take a look. Oh, hi, Paul from Southern California. Rachel from Napa. I hope you all are doing okay. My goodness, it's just watching everything on the news that's happening in California. We are thinking of you and sending positive vibes your way. Hello, Lorraine from Newfoundland. Nice to see you here. We've got folks coming in from Austin and Georgia. Where else we got folks from? I am joining you from Raleigh, North Carolina, on the East Coast of the United States. And this is going to be a terrific session for each and every one of you today. It is where we're going to be learning how to master your video presence to influence and impact your audience. Now, here's the thing. We are all television broadcasters at this point, whether we like it or not, because of our new world, the way as we know it now, 3 years post the beginning of the pandemic. All of us have to be able to master both in-person meetings and communication as well as virtual. So how do you get that presence through a screen when you're looking at a little green dot like I am right now, trying to connect with you, the viewers? How do you create that presence? How do you come across with a commanding presence? How do you read a room in a virtual world? These are many of the different things that can be described as the characteristics of having executive presence. Our special guest today is an expert in executive presence. Regina Huber is a career and transformational leader coach. She's a speaker, a trainer. She speaks all over the place. She's worked in the corporate world for Boston Consulting Group. She's been an entrepreneur and she's lived all over the world. So I think all of us here joining now will be able to connect with her because there are many things in common. All right, just as we get ready to introduce Regina and bring her on to the virtual stage, a quick few hellos to Catherine from Springfield, Massachusetts. We've got MG Touch coming from Rhode Island, Jerry Keys from Sacramento, Two Fly from Los Angeles, Dustin from Ohio. Let's see. Oh, snowy northeastern Pennsylvania. Hey, Carolyn. We've got friends coming in from Chicago, Dallas, Dubai, Scotland. It's great to have you all here. Without further ado, we want to get into talking about your executive presence, which I'm not sure if you realize it, but according to the Center for Talent Development, did you know that executive presence skills rank second in the top 20 leadership traits that can make a difference with your career? So let's dive right into it. Please welcome everybody. Some virtual hand claps for Regina Huber. Hello, Regina.
Hi, Sharon. I'm delighted to be here with you today. And of course, with all the brilliant people joining us from all these amazing places. Thank you for having me today.
It's wonderful to have you here. And Regina, do you believe that is the statistic that I just read out, that executive presence counts as some of those characteristics as the top priority for what people are looking for leaders today?
I would say so because it's like almost like our business card, right? It's what we convey to other people. It's what we transmit in a job interview, on a video, online, whenever we go live. So it's really, really key for success. I absolutely agree. Just the one thing is that oftentimes it's really hard to describe and to define what executive presence even is. And also, sometimes we call it something different because not everybody considers themselves an executive maybe, but a lot of people could consider themselves leaders in their own field, even though they might not be in corporate or in a big organization. You could also be a leader in a specific area, maybe even a thought leader in whatever capacity.
So could we say we're talking about leadership presence if you feel like you don't have the executive part for your official title?
Sure, you could absolutely call it leadership presence. You could also call it business presence, whatever resonates, I would say.
All right. So with that title or that descriptor of having executive presence,
Mhm.
what does that mean? How do you work with your clients in trying to identify what that executive presence is?
Well, we're going to go over some of these details in just a bit as I'm going to show some slides. But to put it in a nutshell, it's really to be able to be you, to be authentic within the environment that you work in a way that it still makes sense for all the people you work with and for the people you want to be seen and heard by, for the decision makers. Yes. And also, of course, for your team, for everybody really that you interact with. So it should make sense. It should feel authentic to you. Nobody wants to play a role. It's, it takes a lot of energy to play a role. It's exhausting and it just feels much better. And you want to probably stay in your position, in your business role, not playing a role, but in that role that you have in your organization or in your business. You want to stay in that role for a while. And we spend a lot of time at work, so we want to feel good.
Sure. Regina, I'd love to ask what you think about, when you hear that term executive presence or
Mm-hmm.
leadership presence, it feels like I feel like younger people might think, oh my gosh, how could I possibly have that if I don't have years and years of experience, or if I'm in my very first role as a manager? Can you still have that presence that you desire, even if you don't have decades worth of experience?
Absolutely. The term can be a bit intimidating. And that's why I said before, choose the term that works best for you. You want to show up as your best self. That's what it's about, literally. Yes, and make sense to others. How can you show up more powerfully? Well, we'll see actually two exercises today, time permitting, that I want to introduce to everybody watching that you can use and that not everybody maybe talks about.
Gotcha. I just thought of a great example of a person who is extremely young, but yet demonstrates an incredible amount of presence. Call it executive presence, business presence, leadership presence. Malala. Malala Yousaf, who is the youngest winner of the Nobel Prize. You recall Malala was shot in the head by the Taliban when she was a teenager, and she has gone on to literally change the world, delivering a speech to the United Nations when she was a mere teenager. And what she's been able to demonstrate is really the definition of executive presence. Would you agree, Regina?
Well, it's always about really being authentic. It boils down to that truly, because you still want to represent your style, right? Now, as we're moving outside of corporate, that is sometimes a little bit easier because, we're not expected to show up that formally. And so I would say sometimes business owners have it a little bit easier in that sense. They just want to be true to their own personal brand, and the same is true of speakers. So you really just got to find that and then live in it and then find that confident self, that compelling self that connects you with your audience.
All right, Regina, we do have a quick question from an audience member. Chris wants to know, what about foreigners working in the United States where English is their second language? Sometimes when you don't speak the native language, you might feel less confident.
Mhm. Well, I can speak from experience. I'm also a foreigner working in the United States. I'm originally from Germany, and I have lived in other language zones too. In fact, I moved to Spain, Madrid, at the age of 26 when I had just had a few classes of Spanish, and I was thrown into the cold water, so to speak. But when you follow a few rules, like in the beginning, what you probably need to do is just to allow yourself to speak a little bit more slowly and then enunciate more so people can actually understand you. It really depends on everybody's accent and pronunciation and on how long you have been speaking the language, of course. Usually, when you have that practice, it improves quite quickly. And people in many cities, especially in the United States, are actually quite used to it. So I wouldn't really, bother worrying about it too much.
Okay, very good. That's a good way to speak a little bit slower, enunciate strongly. I do want to point out, Kevin, thank you so much for clarifying. Malala is actually a Pakistani female education activist. She did win the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize and is the youngest Nobel Prize laureate at 17 years of age. I mean, she is just one of the most impressive young women. So thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. So let's dive into some of your content, Regina. I know that you have some great stuff that everyone is going to appreciate today from what you're able to share with us.
Yes, sure. So first of all, I want to say that any meeting starts before the meeting. You prepare. You prepare content, but that's not all you want to prepare. You also want to optimize your presence. And that doesn't mean you got to be perfect. It means to be the best version of your authentic self. I said that before, right? Because no one likes perfect people anyway, do we? What we want is really to get to know you, to get a feel for you, get to see your special gift, your unique brilliance. And we want to see the leader in you and in your specific area. You can be a leader in any capacity, and you just need to show up as one, basically. Whether you work in an organization, I work with a lot of team leaders at all levels, or whether you have your own business, your own team, whether you want to show up as a leader in a specific field, maybe a thought leader, as I said earlier. And a video that you put out to your audience is just a specific type of meeting. So you want to treat it as a meeting, as if the person or the people were there with you, even if it's a recorded meeting. So you're meeting with your audience, even if it's maybe not a live stream as we are doing today. And they can watch it later, but they still want to experience you. Yes, they want to have an impression of who you are, and they want to feel like you're with them. Yes, they don't only want to see and hear you, they want to feel you. And that's why we talk so much about authenticity when it comes to presence, because yes, words are powerful. They are very powerful, but they're not everything. So I want to show some slides with you, if that's okay, to guide us along. All right, we have the slides up. Okay, so today's topic is master your video presence to influence and impact your audience. Now, we may not be able to go into all the aspects because we have limited time, but I wanted to touch on some things that not everybody maybe always talks about. What is presence even, or speaking presence? What does it consist of? Well, the thing is, it consists of a bunch of things, many, many things, right? All these elements that you see on the slide here flow into your presence, and we could probably find even more. There's so much to fit into one session, and so that's why we want to pick just a few of the topics you see on the slides and do some practical tools as well that you can then take with you rather than going all over the place with this, right? So let's start quickly with vocabulary and language. And again, just briefly, because I want to go to something else pretty quickly, but I want to give you some general guidelines because, of course, the exact words you will be using will depend on your brand and on who you are. and what your style is. Yes. But what's important is, especially in video, to use simple language, to be easy to listen to avoid too much jargon, because not everybody is familiar with your expertise, with what you talk about, and to use shorter sentences, as people cannot read along unless there's, of course, subtitles. Be clear and easy to understand, and talk to your audience directly as if they were there with you, as if you were addressing them directly, to make that connection. Ask engaging questions sometimes. Questions stimulate our brains to look for answers, meaning they create that automatic engagement with your audience. Yes, and then, of course, depending on your intention, you use language that is either inspiring, supportive, instructive, whatever the context is. So what is your intention? Always think about that. What is your intention when you go online and speak? Or even also offline, of course. Use language that supports this intention.
I feel like sometimes people think that if they are trying to be impressive, they use very big, fancy words. Or in the United States, as I call an SAT word, which is the college entrance exam. But in fact, being conversational creates a
Mhm.
better connection. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we are having a conversation as we meet with people, whether it's on video or anywhere else, right? It does need to be a conversation. Okay. All right. So quickly, also, if it's okay, Sharon, I want to quickly talk about body language, but really only quickly because I know that we just had an excellent session on body language. And so I just really want to go over it very quickly, but it is important to remind ourselves that we have this body language. The main elements, of course, are gestures, facial expressions, your movements, your eyes, eye contact, posture, and of course, and this is what we often forget about, the energy that flows into your body language. Yes, we'll talk about that more later because that's one of my favorite topics. So the one thing I want to say in the context of body language, though, is to please not use canned language.
Hmm.
Be natural with your body language. Yes, of course, you want to follow some general guidelines. You listen to an expert probably just recently that we put on here on YouTube, who had a lot of relevant knowledge. I saw that session too. And she had great ways to also read other people's body language and interpret it. But, don't make it something completely canned and rehearsed in that sense. One thing that's definitely not a good idea to do in terms of body language is like sitting like this, crossing your arms, because that does not transmit an open attitude. I think you would agree. Could even come across as arrogant if I'm sitting here like this, talking to you like this, right?
Sure.
So obvious things. And also, if you do not usually use like big gestures, gesticulate a lot, then maybe that doesn't come natural to you, and then maybe just leave it for a special effect, but not all the time. Okay. So again, this is about authenticity, right, Sharon?
Of course.
So let's talk a little bit more about authenticity. You can only feel authentic to your audience and come across as authentic if you're not excessively nervous or anxious, because that would prevent you from being present in the moment with your audience and from focusing mentally. Now, of course, Big View gives you the option to use a teleprompter, which is awesome because it helps you in a way that you don't have to come up with the right words or the best words for your message in the moment. Yes, you can prepare that. I think that's really fantastic. But then there are other situations where you do want to be in the moment and speak off the cuff. like Sharon asked me some questions in the beginning, if I had been like overly nervous, then I wouldn't have been able to focus on the question and reply to it. So that could also be the situation in a podcast, in a Q&A, a panel, whatever your situation is. So this requires to be present in the moment. And even also reading from a teleprompter requires being fully present because it makes a difference. If you come across as too tense, then your message will not land in the same way and it will not be as convincing. So you will not have the same persuasive impact.
What I love about Big
Go
View,
ahead.
the teleprompter, Regina,
Yes.
is that when you're, and I know you can use it either from your phone or you can
Mhm.
use it on your desktop. I love to use it from the desktop because it's a little bit larger, and you can just, if you don't like the recording, you just redo it over and over until you get it just the way you like it, the way you sound natural, the way you look natural. And that's the beauty of it. Like you said, don't get tripped up on your words. Go ahead and just put the script or the bullet points in the Big View teleprompter so that you can nail it and get to the content that you desire.
Exactly. I also have bullet points for today. Otherwise, it would be really hard to stick to the content and to transmit everything to you that I had planned and to really give you meaningful, structured content, right? So that's really, really great about Big View. I mean, and then it even translates that teleprompter text into your subtitles.
Exactly, which we know from lots and lots of studies that people really do enjoy having the captions, and
Yeah.
you find yourself reading and listening along at the same time, and the content
Mm-hmm.
becomes a little stickier. The person will
Right.
really get it faster. So I love that option as well.
Yeah, captions are great also because some people cannot even necessarily listen to the video if they are in a place where they cannot turn on the volume, or maybe it's just too noisy around them, right? That happens sometimes too. So the main thing here is really that we want to see and feel and hear that you own your message. And it also should feel good on your end. You just also want to have more fun with it. And when you're overly anxious or insecure, that just doesn't happen usually. So that's why today I wanted to give you some practical tools so that you can then use to feel more confident, which of course has a positive effect on your presence. It enhances your presence. And not only that, I'm also going to share one simple tool that will specifically help you to show up as that enhanced presence, and how others perceive you will change through that. How does that sound?
Sounds great. And we love some interaction. So I believe you have some exercises for us. Is that what you're going to share?
I do. So I just quickly wanted to put you a little bit, into the context so that people know where I'm coming from with these exercises, and so that they actually make sense to everybody watching. Yes?
Sure.
So if you feel anxious, let me go to my next slide. If you feel anxious about making videos, somehow along the way, you may have learned in your life that you're not enough. You've probably heard about this before. Not knowledgeable enough, not deserving enough, not worthy enough, not old enough, not young enough, not experienced enough, not whatever enough, right? This is not your fault. You just picked it up. We all did to some extent, with very, very few exceptions, if any. So these not enough experiences are then programmed onto your subconscious mind, and they stick with you. But you don't have to keep this programming. That's the good news. You can release it, which may require an expert's help for some, but you could just also try and do it on your own, simply by deciding that this is no longer yours. Yeah. And in fact, it never was yours. Oftentimes we just pick it up from other people, actually. So, you have the right to get rid of this programming or conditioning and just ditch it by simply making that decision. But if that's hard for you, it's not always easy for everybody, And if you cannot let go of this not enough feeling quite yet, then there's also a shortcut that you can use right away, a way to prepare for any public speaking situation, whether it's, in person.
Ooh, tell me.
Yes, I'll teach you that in just a minute. So what's important really to realize is that confidence, trustworthiness, authenticity, all these important things for leaders and for presence, and energy go hand in hand. Uncertainty is really based on a lack of trust. Yes, and uncertainty in our audience destabilizes their brains and triggers undesirable emotions in them. Because people want confident, not overconfident, but confident, humane, authentic speakers and leaders they can trust. If they don't trust you, they may not watch your video to the end, or they may just not take you up on your call to action. But let's get right to the first tool, as you suggested, Sharon. And so I wanted to just, really do something that can help you. I call it sometimes go from freaking out to freaking amazing. So from anxiety to excitement. And what we're going to do is we are going to anchor a feeling of confidence and then trigger it really quickly. This is an NLP tool, and it's also in my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine, where I explain it in writing. Now, I do need you to play along with me with an open mind, because even if you've done something like this before, play along with me again. And if you've never heard of this, do the same. Just trust me on it and experiment with it. Okay. So just before we start, a little explanation. Once you have anchored your feeling of confidence into your cell memory through this technique, you can then trigger that feeling of confidence whenever you need it. Yes, and very quickly, within a matter of seconds. So the trigger itself will be a hand gesture. This gesture could be something you don't usually use. So you want to use it only for this particular purpose. This is really important. Now, I want you to choose your hand gesture. For example, mine for this particular purpose would be this. I put my thumb and my middle finger together. Simple and discreet. I can do it anywhere. So now.
And that centers you? What does that do for you, Regina?
We're going to go through the exercise in just a minute, but this is the hand gesture we choose, and I'm gonna prompt you when it's time to use it. So don't hold it quite now yet. Okay. So just decide for now which gesture you want to use for this technique. Okay. So again, what we'll do is we're going to create a link or an association between your gesture and the feeling of confidence, because we all want to feel confident. The best way to do this is with your eyes closed. But if you don't feel safe for any reason, just find a gazing spot in front of you somewhere, so you're not distracted by visuals right now. So please go ahead and close your eyes if you can, and let's do this. First of all, soften your eyes and relax your jaw. Relax all your face muscles. Relax your neck and shoulders. Your arms, your hands. Relax your entire body all the way down to the floor, to the feet, the toes. And take a couple of deep breaths. In and out, all the way into the belly. One more. Inhale. And exhale, and feeling completely relaxed. And now, think of a time in your life when you experienced the most confidence ever. Could be any situation, doesn't matter. Top of mountain confidence. And allow yourself to travel back in time and to literally glide back into that experience. Really step into it and take a few moments to relive that scene. Where were you? Who was there with you? What did it feel like? Look like, smell like, sound like, maybe even taste like? And I'm going to give you 15 seconds to cherish that amazing moment when you felt so wonderfully confident, courageous, and brave. Savor all the delightful sensations and emotions that are coming up with this memory of confidence and make it an intense inner experience. Okay, you have 15 seconds from now. Okay, now that you're feeling like Superman or Superwoman, and that this experience of confidence is very intense, now use your hand gesture to anchor that feeling in. Take another deep breath and open your eyes. Okay, so now, of course, it's going to be your turn to test this. And so you can test it while I'm talking, but also after this show. This exercise, what it does, it causes your body to create an association between the anchor, between your gesture and the feeling. You just literally conditioned your physiology to create the feeling of confidence every time you use your hand gesture. What does that mean? It means that you can trigger confidence whenever you need it and really quick, just like that, you know? So test it. And if you felt like under pressure, you could not remember a situation fast enough, you know, where you felt that confident or whatever your pressure was in that moment when we did this exercise, then just do it again for yourself in your own time and use the same hand gesture to anchor that feeling, just more slowly. And then, you know, we could always do it again with this video. There's going to be a recording, of course, on YouTube. You can rewatch the video, or you could also pick up my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine, on Amazon, where you get a description of this exercise and some others as well.
Regina, quick question.
Please.
Would an example of when you could use this is, let's say you're doing a presentation, either online, but probably more so in person, because I think a lot of us have gotten out of practice from doing in-person kinds of speaking because we've all been behind computers now for 3 years. Now that some of us are getting back into in-person presentations or speaking engagements or coaching or training or having department meetings or team meetings, if you are in the middle of it and you go blank, like you forget what's next, would this be an example of when you could do this hand gesture to quickly recenter and find that confidence instead of the panic?
It's a great example. Yes, absolutely. And I always suggest that you test it a few times before so you actually know it works for you. Because if you doubt it in the moment, you know, then of course it's a bit harder for it to work. But I have done this, and you could even test this with other feelings that you want to conjure up, but use different gesture for them. Okay, so that your cell memory doesn't get confused.
Gotcha. Yeah? Okay.
All right. And I'm going to teach you one other one, time permitting, which is completely different. It plays more with the energy, and I'm going to tell you in just a second why, if that's okay.
I feel like I'm more relaxed just from doing that exercise. As Gabriel put it, big view meditation right here.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. And part of the reason for this is actually also just the 2 deep breaths that you took at the beginning.
Sure.
You know, that's part of it too, right? Deep belly breathing can do wonders. Right.
Regina, I wanted to share a quick example of my background is as a television news anchor. And one of the first female news anchors in the United States back in the 1980s was a woman by the name of Jessica Savage.
Mhm.
And she's since passed away, but I read her biography, and she talked about there was a lot of nerves when she was chosen to be the first female co-anchor on the news, and she was very anxious. And so she did a hand gesture underneath the desk, the news desk, to help center her and keep her confident. So the viewers at home saw this calm, cool, collected person. Inside, she felt quite anxious, but she did a hand gesture under the desk to keep it together.
See? Because she was under no pressure at all, right? Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful example. Yes, absolutely. Okay, moving on. Now, you may have heard that you have 7 seconds to make a first impression. I think most people have heard this before. And 7 seconds to build trust with your audience. When in reality, you have much less than that.
Oh, less than 7?
Yes. Why?
Oh,
Because it takes only 0.07 seconds for our brains to figure out whether we can trust someone. I'm saying this slowly, but I should have said it very fast because 0.07 seconds is no time. Right?
oh my goodness, less than a second.
Yes.
Woo.
And you know why it's so fast, Sharon? Because it's part of our survival mechanism. When something is a
Oh, our
matter,
lizard brain.
yes, it's our subconscious. It has to gauge every little second whether it's safe, right? Whether we are safe. And when something is a matter of life and death, then it must happen fast, because otherwise we are not safe. And this, what it is about, is it's about your energy. What does this mean? Well, your energy speaks faster than your words, and it speaks louder than your words. Important to remember, right? Now, why is it so important to focus on your energy? Well, first of all, we said, trust. It has to do with trust. You could even establish an energetic connection with your audience before you even start your video, before you even start your show, whatever it is, and send out good vibe energy and make that energetic connection. And when you are prepared energetically, it also makes a difference. People notice it without noticing it. They, we constantly have that interactive, that energetic exchange, whether we are aware of it or not, right? It's always happening. Really important to remember. And why else is it so important to focus on your energy? Well, first of all, because everything is energy, right? Science has caught up on that. In the past, we were called woo-woo when you talked about this. But now science has caught up. So hello.
I hear people say, oh, she or he has great energy, or she has great energy, but it's a feeling, an actual feeling, right?
It is. And we cannot always explain it, but something is transmitted. The truth is, your energy flows into everything you think, you say, you do, you feel, right? Your energy flows into your presence through your thoughts, your words, your actions, your body language, and it determines how you show up and how you are perceived. So it's really key to be fully present in your body and in your energy, which are, of course, not separate. They are intertwined because we are energy. We talk about energy, but then we are energy. So it sometimes gets a bit confusing there. But when you do the next exercise with me, maybe that gets a little bit clearer why this is important or how you can use this for yourself. Yes, and some of you might also have heard of Amy Cuddy and her TED Talk about power posing.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
So good.
So, that's about your body posture, but of course that creates a certain energy also, right? It creates a feeling because our body replicates, a signal. It sends a signal to our brain that if we do this, for example, that I'm strong, I'm confident, right? And just like a smile sends a signal to your brain that everything is okay. So smiling can put you in a better mood. And all of this is not just about the body, though. It's also about the energy. Having said that, you can also, of course, use those body postures and other body exercises to achieve something similar. So is it okay if we do the next exercise?
Yes,
Okay.
let's do it.
Awesome. So again, play along with an open mind. This is something that I always do. It's my favorite exercise personally. It's helped a lot of my clients to just feel better before they step into any challenging situation, whether it's a job interview, whether it's an important meeting, a negotiation, whatever it is, presentations. And I call this tap into your inner power to enhance your outer presence, right? It's also in my book, by the way, just in case you want to check that out. So let's do this. Again, play along and observe what happens. First, let's just sit in a comfortable position with your legs uncrossed and place your feet firmly on the floor. And now first what we want to do is we start out slouching in our chairs and just notice what that feels like. Probably not very confident. Yeah, let me guess. It probably feels a bit contracted or small or not powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, again, close your eyes if you dare. And if not, find a gazing spot. And move into a more upright position now. So relatively straight, but without being rigid. Yes, so straight upper body, but still comfortable, and relax your shoulders. And notice what that feels like. Notice the difference. Do you now feel already a bit more expansive, maybe? Now again, let's take a few deep belly breaths all the way down into your belly. It's okay to stick out your belly. So inhale and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. This deep breathing also helps you increase your mental focus because it oxygenates your brain. So now imagine bringing in nurturing energy from the floor beneath you through the soles of your feet. If you like, call it earth energy, whatever you feel comfortable with. All the way up through your ankles, calves, knees, thighs, all the way up through your legs, into the base of your spine, and into your entire body. And as you're doing this, pause a moment at the base of your spine to feel supported and ground yourself. Once you feel grounded, bring this energy up to your solar plexus area, your stomach area. And breathe deeply into this area.
The solar plexus, is that your abdomen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I must have skipped biology class that day.
no, so that's just right. It's just where it's usually a little tight or tense when you point on it. That's that area, right? Yeah. And maybe place a hand or two on this area. Right. And really breathe deeply into this area again and allow your diaphragm to support you while breathing. So the solar plexus is where it's easiest for most of us to feel our confidence and to access our inner power. This is where your personal power resides. So maybe place a hand there and breathe. And as you breathe into this area and focus on this power, it expands. You will feel that because, as you know, what you focus on expands. What you put your energy to, that grows, right? You could also imagine this as this yellow ball in there, whatever your color is for that. I don't mind. So now move this power energy up to your heart, and maybe pause here for a moment in the heart center and bring it up all the way through your throat, into your head and through the top of your head. And now picture this power energy surrounding yourself like an energy bubble. It's coming out through your head and it's surrounding you as far as your arms can go in all directions and all the way down to the floor. You could imagine it as an energy bubble with whatever color you choose for that. Now, it's important to contain this energy around you, not just let it, you don't just want to lose it. You don't want to just disperse it out. So really contain this energy around you in this visionary bubble and observe what that feels like now. So maybe you do feel more expansive. You could even make the arm movement more relaxed, maybe, or more energized. It's individual, right? Maybe you feel more visible. Just maybe more, that you have more volume, taller.
And when would you do this exercise, Regina? Would you do this in preparation?
In preparation
for a video? This is what you're doing in the pre-meeting or pre-presentation.
Absolutely. And don't forget to open your eyes at some point if they're still closed. This is the anti-exercise already. So just observe, did this make any difference for you and how you feel? I'm just really curious. So if you want to share in the chat. And yes, Sharon, to answer your question, I have a series of preparation exercises that I do. And, the reason for my book was actually at the time that my confidence had been completely crushed. I had a very painful experience in the past that didn't only cost me a lot of money, an entire business, and and a lot of my time and energy. It also cost me my confidence. So I had to rebuild my confidence from scratch. And that after building it up over all those years, because as a kid, I was the shyest kid in the village of all.
Oh,
yes. I grew up on a small farm in a tiny little village, and there's nobody my age. So, but I was very adventurous inside, but very shy, to the outside world. Yeah. Yeah. So these exercises helped me at the time, and I don't do them all the time, but I came up with a series that I then put into my book because I have found that other people could benefit too. And also just the deep belly breaths. We underestimate deep belly breaths because they provenly calm your nervous system. This is a physiological fact. Deep breathing.
Now, let me ask you one other quick question. Please. As we're getting close on time, and I want to make sure that we've asked questions both from the chat as well as some things that I think people would find helpful. I oftentimes, when working with clients on presentation coaching, they're able to muster up that confidence to do a presentation in a room for colleagues or their team. But the second we turn the camera on, it all falls apart. Why does the technology seem to disrupt the confidence element?
Look, the same happened to me in the past. Before I did more videos and more live streams and all these good things. I also used to have a TV show for a little bit on Roku and for Win Win Women TV. Now it's, of course, it comes more natural. But in the beginning, it was daunting. And I think one of the reasons is because we feel like it's going to stick there for eternity.
Yeah.
Really. There's no way, you can correct something and just rewind and record again, unless, of course, it's a recorded video that you do by yourself, and you have no audience in front of you.
But all of these exercises to find that confidence, and then your gesture, your hand gesture, this can all be a great way in preparation for a video recording so that you can calm or quell the nerves. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And different people like different things and techniques. And that's why in my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine, I'm just showing it to you here for whoever, wants to check that out on Amazon. It's there's Kindle or print. But what I did there is to include exercises that I think some of them, there's one for everybody. There are exercises to mentally, physically, and energetically prepare. So you pick your favorites and use those. You don't have to use all of them, right?
Excellent. We have some people saying that these exercises have really helped them find some calm and some expansion. Vicky says, I could feel the expansion from my core all the way up through my throat to the top of my head. I could feel a higher vibration surrounding me. Very calming.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
So do you do these exercises with your clients?
I do. When I do like bigger coaching programs, we go very deep with some of these topics. So we really go to the root of what's keeping them at, a level that they don't want to be at, what's keeping them from showing up as their best selves, and what sometimes has them play smaller than they really are. So we are really going to the root, because in one-on-one coaching, I can, of course, do that. And over time, we have a lot to work on. This is why I call my leadership coaching transformational leadership coaching, because we transform as we move along. We do work on specific situations for sure, but then it's the transformation that you take with you for the rest of your career and your life. And so oftentimes, because when they know me a little bit better already, I just refer them to the book for these particular exercises so that we can actually use their sessions to go even deeper.
Now, you said that really what has helped you become more comfortable and confident on video is just doing it, right? Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I'm, even when I did my first in-person event, I had, I think, probably 10 people in the room. I just did it. I did not structure my event well. When I look back now, I could have done it much better, but it was a fun event and people enjoyed it. And then the next event had 40 people. I made about 500 phone calls to get these into the room. It was not perfect, but it gave me that option to practice and to connect with people, and it was great for them to network. And over time, I learned more. I got better at structuring my signature talk and all these different things. I got coaching for that too, of course, and I learned a lot. But yes, you got to start doing it, because without that, it just stays in your head, and then nobody sees your brilliance.
There you go. That's what it is. The world needs to see all of these great people and the stories and the experiences you have to share. Now, as we begin to wrap this up this evening or this afternoon, of course, it could be evening from wherever you're joining us. Regina, you do have a special giveaway for our audience members today. Can you go ahead and share what it is you are going to be giving for free to your audience, to the audience members?
Absolutely. If you post about today's event on your social media with the hashtag Regina Huber, that's my first and last name, so hashtag Regina Huber, and email me a screenshot to regina@transformyourperformance.com. You can see it on the slide that I'm showing you right now. Then I give the first 3 of you whose emails I receive a one-on-one customized 30-minute tune up your present session. What about that?
That is excellent. Are you all hearing this? This is a one-on-one 30-minute session with Regina. This is fantastic. So again, the first 3 that post about the session get a 30-minute tune up your presence session. Use the hashtag Regina Huber, and then send a screenshot to regina@transformyourperformance.com. We also have dropped that information into the chat. And I also have a giveaway, which is a tip, a guide sheet on how to set your home studio or office studio up for success. I take 4 tricks or tips that really help you look and sound your best on camera. And it begins with preparation. As Regina says, the meeting before the meeting, you have to make sure, look how beautiful Regina's background is. It's beautiful, but not distracting. Same thing. Like I give this tip sheet has how to do lighting so that you don't look like you're in a cave, how to make sure your audio is well done, how to make sure that you're eye level with your camera so that people aren't looking up your nose or looking at the ceiling tiles behind you. And so that is in its virtual presenting tip sheet. It is in the chat now. Thank you so much, Bruno, for popping it in there. And with that, Bruno, can you let me know, is there any special giveaway from Big View today? $20 off. There you go. If you sign up now using the link that I think Bruno is going to pop into the chat, if you use this now, you will be able, there it is. There's the link right there. Click on that and you immediately get $20 off of the higher level version of Big View. Regina, any last words as we wrap it up?
Well, I'm just blown away by the chat. I'm just looking at all the comments. So thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. We need your light in the world. We need to see you. We need to hear you. We need to feel you. So yes, surprise us with your brilliant genius. I know you have it, and the world needs your unique puzzle piece in the bigger puzzle.
Excellent. Lovely way to finish it out. Regina Huber, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful pleasure for me to get a chance to interview you and learn more about you today. And thank you to all of our audience members who joined us from all over the world. Until next time, we will see you on the screen using Big View.
Thank you.
Now more than ever before, the way you communicate can make or break your career. Hi, I'm Sharon Delaney McLeod. I'm a television journalist turned speaker and facilitator working with leaders and their teams to amplify their impact. In our hybrid world, it's crucial to connect with each other in meaningful ways. In fact, new research shows that effective communication has become the most vital competency and non-negotiable skill that modern leaders must flex to keep their teams engaged and productivity high. I invite you to follow my content for professional development best practices, podcasts, articles, and videos that will help you drive business results. I look forward to partnering with you in person or virtually to level up what I call your power skills. Hit the link below to